What is about that?
Because we just debated him and he just got a $3,100 bill and he don't agree with it.
Oh, from the new, okay.
Okay, thank you. If y'all are ready, we'll go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we just come tonight, and Lord, and just thank you for all the blessings you give us this week, Lord. Now lay your hand on this meeting, Lord, as we do the will for you, Lord, and do what's best for the town. We ask this in your name. Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope everybody's doing well tonight. First thing we have is a consent agenda.
I need to make an amendment to the agenda.
Okay.
First amendment is Christmas lights, and second amendment, Jackson Lewis invoices. I make a motion to add those to the agenda under new business.
Christmas lights and Jackson Lewis.
Yeah, Jackson Lewis invoices.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Anything else? Let's go ahead then, start with the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions on it? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? We've got public comment, Ray and Linda Henson. Elton. Madam Clerk, has anybody else signed up? We're gonna add Jay Hubbard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had an interesting week. Of course, I know it's been an ongoing problem. Well, I'm aware that, we had some code enforcement issues, but I guess my issue is I was told one thing and something else was totally done. I understand there was a lot of debris and overgrowth. But my question is, nobody can give me an answer, says the town's ultimately responsible. But I want to know, I can't even mow my yard now, so that's going to be another violation. They took my lawnmower, they took my gas grill, they took propane bottles that were beside it for that. They took my yard tools. They took a refrigerator that I had that I used for over storage, drinks and water, and family and friends were generous enough to share their produce from the garden with me. I'd put it in there if I didn't have room in my regular refrigerator. And I just want to know what the town's involvement is in this. I know you subcontract or have contractors that do this. And I know they say, I was somewhat upset about it. They sent 2 police officers over there to keep everything from escalating. So, I mean, there was no serious, but I just want to know that. And also, I'm on the planning and zoning, and it seems like the recommendations we make, I mean, you have the ultimate, because you're the Board of Adjustments. But, one person asked for identical, what the same thing is as far as zoning, and one you won't give it to them, and one you will. I mean, there's a little more to that. I understand that some of it's deeper in the residential neighborhood, and we review that. Where the Highway 64 corridors, our long-range land plan is for commercial. So, I mean, eventually, with all the stuff that's coming, but I just wondered, why that one would be considered and the other one identical almost request is not. Okay.
So I don't think anybody on the board is actually aware of the specifics of what you're talking about.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Hubbard?
Good evening. For those that don't know me, I'm Jay Hubbard. I live on Church Street. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. It's good to be with y'all tonight. Board faces many important decisions in the coming months. Several are on the agenda tonight. Tonight, you're only operating at 80% efficiency. Mr. Cranston's seat remains vacant. 3 people recently filed to run for 3 open seats on the ballot this year. We are all here tonight. We will be Ramseur commissioners for at least the next 2 years. Some time ago, Commissioner Cranford requested to be excused for an extended leave of absence, and this board granted that request. I hope tonight finds Tim in a comfortable place and good spirits. I believe we all thank him for his service to the community. The members of this board have, at any time since accepting Commissioner Cranford's request for leave, been fully within their rights to appoint an interim commissioner to Mr. Cranford's vacant seat. And I stand before you ready to work. Thank you.
Old business? We have no old business. New business?
Jason.
Good afternoon. So I know a couple weeks ago, we had a workshop with USG Water about the option for AMI meters. Tonight we have a wheel with USG here. He'll answer some more questions as far as the financial part of this goes. So he sent out, I think all y'all have it in your packets. He sent out overall plan of what this would cost. So total cost to get these meters installed is going to be, I think total for the total 15-year is $2.2 million. However, that cost is can be split up over a 10-year period. First bill is delayed 18 months. The issue we have is obviously we have 33% non-revenue water. Last year at the water plant, we produced 181 million gallons. Between July and June, we only billed for 121 million gallons. So we have about 60 million gallons of unbilled water. So these meters, what we're hoping to do is recapture that non-revenue water and put it back into the water system. With this year 1 accumulation, we wouldn't have any payment that first year 1. The first payment would be due until January of 25. We would have the payment, the $47,000 payment for the cloud services on it. But year 1, we would have a total revenue of $189,000 just from capturing 20% of the 33% non-revenue water. Over the life of this, the total 15 years, we would recapture $2.3 million of revenue. Now, that does not include the 8% we just increased them, and that don't include any increase we do in those 15 years.
Jason, I know we had talked previously about the amount of water that we cannot bill for. And you said that was,
I'd say that
you're probably, I know, so Surf City, they were about setting the same number we were when they did it, and Will can correct me if I'm wrong. But they went from about 33% down to 6% non-revenue. So you're gonna have about 5 to 6% you can't account for.
Okay, on that 5 to 6%, are we also looking at the water where we just flush? We got 3 dead ends, don't we? 3?
There's only one dead end that runs constantly, and we're about to repair that. I'm gonna put automatic flusher that's on the timer.
Okay.
So that problem will be taken care of as well.
Of that 33%, how much of that, I think when we had mentioned before, we were about 8%, and did that include that continuous flushing?
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
Because that's only 1.5 inch line, so it's not, I mean, it is running, but it's not running like a 6-inch line would. But I'd like to have Will come up and explain to us how the financing option of it work better. He understands it a little bit more, so I'm gonna let him come up and if y'all have any questions for him on the financing side of it.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. I apologize if Scotty Wilkins is not with us this evening. He would much rather be here. He's in training in Atlanta, so I probably owe him a free meal because I'm not in Atlanta right now. So thank y'all for having me again. In y'all's packet, there should be 2 components. There should be the spreadsheet that we looked at length, and then there's the graph that visually represents the cash accumulation over the 15-year life of the asset. Jason did a really good job of explaining it already. But what we had talked about with y'all was doing a 15-year financial spread option. And that's through a third party named Government Capital. Right now, the rate had actually, I believe, decreased a little bit from the first time y'all saw it. We are in crazy times right now. So the rate was at 4.952 with the new numbers they provided to me. And that is, as we say, when there's an 18-month delay on that 10-year spread. So that allows us to get well into the project. That allows us to stand up the antennas, get the software up and running, get the software talking to your billing software, get all the meters installed, and let y'all begin recapturing that lost revenue before that first payment is ever due. And then also by spreading it over that 10-year period, that allows y'all, as new growth comes in, for some of those people that will benefit from the new technology you've placed in the ground, for them to help pay for it as well. As Jason mentioned, over that 15-year, we end up with a cash accumulation somewhere north of $2.3 million. And that number is actually probably a little low because that does not take into account your most recent rate increases. So your cash accumulation will probably increase another $170,000.
And the anticipated growth.
And any intent, yes, sir. Absolutely.
And that 2.2 is on top. That's just non-revenue water. Like if we didn't do anything about it, that's what we would lose out on.
Because we have quite a bit of anticipated growth.
Absolutely. And one of the great things about this system as well is not only are you capturing the water that is running through the meter and not being read right now, this system will also help you find those leaks because you'll be able to see a real-time picture of what's happening within your system at all times and understanding where water loss might be occurring.
Does anybody have any questions? Nobody has any questions for you. I think you must have done a good job the other night.
Well, I really appreciate all the time and effort y'all have put into this. I know a decision like this is never easy, but we're really excited about working with y'all.
Thank you.
So I don't know if y'all want to go over the total cost, really. So obviously, like I said, the first year it cost $47,000. The year 2, you can start making payments on that 10-year spread out option. So year 2, total cost will be $273,000. But when you look at your projected income and non-revenue water, we would get $323,000 on the non-revenue water return. So we would still net profit after paying the $273,000. We would still come out on the positive side by $49,000.
And you assume that's in the first year?
That's year 2. So
Year 2?
which would be in the budget year that the first payment's due. The first payment would come due about halfway through the year 2 budget year.
Will that be 24, 25?
Probably the start of 25, yeah, depending on, how the paperwork goes and when the contract's signed. If the contract was signed before the end of the month, you're looking at January 25.
That's about right, yes, ma'am.
We do have a CD for water and sewer. That's, I think, about 200,000. If we needed it to help kickstart this, we could do it. But, my concern is the longer we let these meters sit in the ground right now, that non-revenue water is going to start. It's just going to grow. We had the issue today. We had 140 rereads today.
Yes.
Had 140 rereads today. Had one situation, somebody took a register off of the meter so it wouldn't read the whole month.
Is that 140 rereads due to ineffective registers? Or the batteries, or?
Most of them were vacancies that did not read at all. Some of them were high usages that I just double checked because they'll call and say, my water bill went up, $40, and we do have a lot of high usage this month. But there's a lot of them that did not read at all.
So the guy was a whole nother 8-hour day going back out hand reading meters after they read meters all day yesterday. With this, they could hit a button at town hall and do it without having to send somebody up.
Plus, the meters would be reading and we wouldn't have these non-read.
It sends a reading right back to town hall every hour.
Yeah. And we'd like to issue two with one meter. If the register had been off at least a month and a half, and we would have been notified of that the first day.
Anytime there's a tamper like that,
Yeah, we would have been notified.
that's a critical.
And we're seeing an increase in tampering around town.
Yes.
The one today was one of the worst ones I've seen. They actually popped the register off the meter. So it read 0 usage for the whole month.
Does anybody have any questions for Jason? I know you've got a resolution in here. I think, in my opinion, I would like us to take a look at this a little bit longer. And if we could get an update on the status of where our audits are. It's my understanding that, was it Will or Chris that you talked to about financing?
So
You're familiar with the situation that we're in.
I am, yes, ma'am.
So with the situation that we're in with our audits, we don't have and are not able to get a balance in our accounts until this next audit is completed. Is that correct? You're unable to give us a,
I've already corresponded with them and they said that they can look at the balance sheets that we do have and do by there.
Yeah, the third-party finance group, which is Government Capital, has been corresponding and letting them know there's other ways of getting that so that y'all get that rate that's currently lower than it will be very soon.
We'll lose that interest rate.
interest rates may or may not come down. It came down a few.
You need to realize too that anything over, is it 5 or 10 years? It has to go through the LGC to get approved.
Mm-hmm. Has anybody reached out to the LGC yet?
We haven't yet. So from Will's experience and talking with Will, he was saying, with the rate increase that we did, and then this showing positive revenue on top of making that payment, he's saying a lot of times LGC looks at that and says, you're looking at positive revenue. We're okay with that.
So we're also dealing with this at Jamesville right now because they're going to have to go through LGC approval as well. And typically speaking, local government commission wants to make sure that you can service the debt over time, obviously, and not leave the town in a worse financial position. In a case like this where you have a failing infrastructure item, you're already losing substantial revenue. Let's call it, even with our conservative numbers, $400,000, $500,000 annually in lost revenue. Now we're going to recapture some of that revenue. Y'all have also been progressive and gone ahead and increase the rate. So from the LGC standpoint, the fact that you've increased rates and the fact that you're doing something to recapture that lost water revenue, that shows two income streams to service the debt. So typically speaking, as long as the town does not appear to be in financial distress, and I'm not a finance person, so I don't want to speak for the LGC. But typically speaking, if they see a town trying to repair infrastructure and doing it over a reasonable amount of time at a reasonable rate and matching new revenues to that debt service, typically speaking, they've been very comfortable with that.
The meters that we have in place, I know that they are several years old and they have a life expectancy of approximately 10 years.
We're past that. I think we looked up, they were installed in 2011, 2012, so we're past that 10 years already.
And the 1 inch and larger meters. are
They're older than that.
How many 1 inch and larger meters do we have?
Done 120. So, and I think that's where a lot of this non-revenue is coming from is the big meter.
We have some additional information to share with the board regarding our meeting with Mr. Ogden and Mike Roney.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll that all in together on the discussion?
However, I know I have it down under water and sewer. Either way.
How would the growth and what we're planning with Ashboro?
Yeah.
How would that, I mean, we're looking at within a year and a half, working with Ashboro as far as that, those water lines, et cetera. How would that play together?
It won't, because it's gonna be a whole separate line. And with the meter that we'll have that ties into that, we can put one of these on there. But other than that, it won't play into that
With that line being,
30-inch line, yeah.
what would the cost on that meter be?
I'm not
Do you
sure.
have any idea?
Be a 12-inch meter.
But that meter,
Don't write off.
that meter's included in the grant, from what I understand. From what
It
they
should be included.
should be in
In Ashboro's
Yeah,
range?
It's a tie-in.
yeah, they got 55 million to do that whole line.
Yeah, it should be tied.
And if they were including the meter, all we would have to do is put a meter transmitting unit, which is the radio, on the meter.
Which would hopefully be we put that in the price we need to. So it works with our system. That should be included as well.
You know, board, this is a big decision. It's one of the first of many that you've got coming your way.
And I don't know if you want me to talk about the rest of the Astro thing right now as far as revenue wise. As far as what they told us. So now we're gonna sell at the campsite 1 million gallons from all water plant. And it's looking like we're gonna purchase 1 million gallons from Asheboro and resell 1 million. So we'll technically be selling the campsite 2 million a day, per day. So you're gonna have that revenue, I think they said by the end of January 26th is when they're wanting all that up in the one.
I thought it was 25.
December.
I think it's December 25.
Yeah. I know that this is a lot, and I know that we've moved rather quickly on it. Don't feel like you have to make a decision today. If you want more time, we can call another special meeting. We can do more research. You can talk about it more today.
How do you guys feel about it?
Well, the water meters, we need it. We really do. My thing is, and I want it, but I just don't want to put the town in a situation.
Is there a way that we can preliminary approach the LGC?
Yes, and I wanted to say that there would in no way be no final documents turned over to you guys
Right.
until the LGC approves of it. No way would that be done.
Well, I think we ought to wait before we make any decisions until we see what the LGC is going to do.
Can you draft a letter and preliminarily indicate that we are looking at this? And
I can call them and send what we've got so far to them.
And then can you get an updated revenue chart with the new increases before we send them all out?
So the cash accumulation chart,
Yeah, with the new rate increases, so just 8%.
I can certainly find that.
And that way we could call a meeting if they come back and say, yes, they're fine with that. Because they're going to look at our finances. I mean, they're going to look at that.
And with the projection from the water revenues for the CAM project.
We put all that together and get to them. And if it's a week or two out, call a meeting.
Can you give me the projections for the new site?
Yeah.
You want to move ahead to Christmas lights?
Uh,
Teresa had a question.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
In the public comment, period, when, the two people spoke, if there was something we needed to address or wanted to ask, when is the time to do that?
You can amend the agenda to put it on the agenda, make a motion to amend the agenda to add it to the agenda.
Okay. Well, I want to, I don't know how to go about this, but I want to amend the agenda because I got a couple questions for both gentlemen, Mr. Smith and Mr. Hubbard.
Okay, I've got a motion to amend the agenda to address the issues brought up by Mr. Smith and to ask Mr. Hubbard some questions. Is there a second on this motion?
a second,
Pick one of you.
don't matter, Joey is fine.
And where do you want to address this at, Teresa?
Take a vote. Take a vote.
What?
Everybody in favor?
I was gonna put it in wherever they said and then take the vote.
I'm sorry.
Do you want to do it now or do you want to do it later in the meeting? It's your choice since you made the motion.
Let's go ahead and do it now, please.
Okay, so we're gonna add this under new business and we're gonna have that be number 2 and 3 and change Christmas lights to 4 and 5. Did you want to recall, Mr.
Why don't we
Smith?
say 1A?
However you want to do it is how I'm happy with.
Thank you. I get all confused otherwise.
Do you want to recall, Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Smith, would you like to come back up to the podium? Commissioner Hatchett has some questions for you. Commissioner Hatchett has some questions for you. Questions.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, Mr. Smith. Got a couple of questions for you.
Can you hear?
Oh, sorry. Got a couple of questions for you about your comments that you made during the public comment period. When had you not received a notice that your property needed
Yes,
some work
ma'am.
done to it?
They received notice and as I was informed, unfortunately, I have to have public employment. And to, so I was working on it. Sometimes the weather wouldn't permit. But, yes, I was working on it and what I was told the day before was what point they were gonna clean up to and said anything of value that I wanted to save to put to there. Okay, I worked 2 afternoons on doing that and I had, there, okay, they came in and, like I said, they sent the 2 police officers over there. And so anyway, all my stuff that was of value to me because it's a constant, not in Ramseur, but in the county, a constant thing with larceny. So, I mean, I have nowhere, well, I don't say I have anywhere else. It's either one, so I had a lot of my stuff there. I had it on a shelf. I mean, as far as like, stuff, I hadn't even got a way to pull my trailer now. All my trailer hitches, I mean, but they tore my retaining wall down. I mean, it's.
Who did this?
But anyway, yes, I did, to your question, I'm sorry, Ms. Hackett. Yes, to your question, I did receive prior notification. So, I mean, it wasn't that, but I mean, I was told that.
Oh, I see. Who tore your retaining wall down?
The contractor that cleaned it up, they damaged it. I'm not gonna say they tore it completely down. It was about half of it. Now, until I can get it repaired, the dirt or the soil is holding back. Now it's gonna run, wash down. So I've got to get that repaired.
Is that wash down going to affect any of the local creeks?
The creek's a good ways away. Is that what you're asking? Will it go to?
Yeah, is that gonna wash into the creek?
I
Where's Jason?
don't think it'll get to the creek.
It won't? Okay. He said no, it won't.
No, it's a good ways from from the creek. So I don't think that's a concern, but on my concrete, it's going to wash down and eventually, you know.
Well, I guess my concern is, it being brought, before the board, your comments, but you were given time
Okay.
to get that done, and you didn't fall within the timeline, so, we have to, as a town, we have to do what we have to
I
do.
understand that. Let me clarify. Maybe I didn't clarify myself. I mean, like I say, I was given they said, we have to clean up to this point. Anything that is, doesn't look like it's functional or useful.
Is that the first, but this has been going on for a while.
It
Is that
has.
the first, that wasn't the first letter that you got about it before the abatement letter?
I think what he's saying is that he was told that anything beyond this point would not be touched, and he moved stuff beyond that point, and it was touched. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. Yes. I mean, I was told one thing. That's. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't. And I mean, I was told that I was doing the minimum amount, but I mean, this is not like a totally abandoned property. I mean, I was working on it, but like I say, I mean, I was given a reasonable amount of time, I guess, as you would say.
Who was the person that told you, who gave you that proverbial line in the sand? Was it the contractor?
Yeah, it was. He was not there the present the day they came. He sent his
Crew.
crew.
Okay.
But the day before he came, and that's when I encountered him. And I asked, I said, what have you got to do? He said, we've been contracted by the town. We have to clean this up, and we're coming tomorrow. And I said, okay. I said, what are you gonna clean up? He said, they told us we had to clean all this up and, all that. I said, what about the stuff that's there behind the house? He said, we're gonna clean up to, the point. And I said, okay. So I began, like I said, it was two afternoons, the afternoon before I moved it to that point. And then it came, we they cleaned up most everything up to that point, and then, they were gonna start on there. And so I don't know who was contacted, the chief of police contacted them. And then, I don't know, it was told that they had to clean all the way up to the back wall. And what I was told initially was, as long as you couldn't see it from the street or the neighbors couldn't see it, it wasn't in violation. Okay, what they took, it's my concern was not, in my thinking, was not in violation unless you trespassed upon my property to go behind the house.
Do you have a list of items that were taken?
I was so devastated. No, ma'am, Miss Mayor, I have it right now. I mean, I do. I will. I mean, I can compose a list. Like I say, I'm not saying that it wasn't something, but I mean, I guess unfortunately, I was in the process of every Friday disposing of it with, the garbage service, and then a lot of it I hauled with my trailer as time permitted. And I was cleaning up the actual stuff that was no good. And so I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of it that was left was usable. And they said I was doing the minimum amount. So, I mean, like I say, that's kind of what's concerning me.
Is code enforcement here?
Yes, Mr. Maxey.
Can we get the code enforcement come up here and give us a timeline and instruct what over the timeline?
Mr. Mayor?
Good to see you all again. One I hadn't met yet, I don't think. Okay, so before I go through that, I'd like to go through what our normal timeline is. So a normal timeline for minimum housing would be 30 days. Normal timeline for junk nuisance, anything falls under that, it's normally a 10-day period. I typically give a 12-day period on the first notice of violation. That way it gets there through the mail, and they actually literally have 10 days. So the original notice of violation, I have that here, give me 1 second. So this will show you how long
and how much courtesy that the town has actually given Mr. Elton to abate this property. The first notice of violation went out on March 31st, 2022. The first notice of hearing, which normally goes out after that 12-day period, if there is no compliance to cleaning up the property, the notice of hearing normally goes out after that 12-day period. Notice of hearing went out May 18th on that one. So there was over a month and a half of time that actually went past that 12-day period. Mr. Elton had contacted me about the notice of hearing. He did not show up for the notice of hearing, for the hearing. He did contact me on that. We did speak about the things that he needed to take care of on the property. The only thing between that period and the period that I sent out the finding of facts, which was actually hand delivered to him by Brandon, the owner of the company, and it was mailed in both ways of certified mail and regular postage. That actually went out on March 21st of 23. So almost exactly 1 year later is when we sent out the finding of facts, the final letter, which in all reality, the notice of hearing would have went out 12 days after that the property was not abated. It would have been set at anywhere between 10 days after to 30 days. So we have to do it within a 10 period and a 30 period to actually hold that hearing. Okay, so that would have went out right after that. In all reality, this property would have been cleaned up without our courtesy and how much we worked to try to get this property cleaned up within a 2-month period.
I don't think Mr. Smith is disputing that he needed to get the property cleaned up, nor that he had the amount of time that.
Right.
I think his concern is that he was told by the supervisor of the crew that anything past a certain line would not be touched, so he had more time to do that.
I can't speculate on that conversation.
I think that's what he's trying to say.
Okay.
It's not that there was an issue with what you guys have done.
Right.
The issue was with the contractor taking property that he had set back behind his house, thinking that it wouldn't be touched and was safe.
Okay. So when I instructed the contractor to do what he did, I instructed him that he needed to clean up all overgrowth behind the house. I instructed him to clean up all junk, trash, debris, household items, everything that was located behind the house, all the way up to the brick wall, all the way to the rear. That was his instructions. Whether or not he had that conversation with Mr. Elton, I was not there for that, so I cannot speculate on that conversation. If he drew a line in the sand of where he was going to clean up, all I can speculate or tell you is what I told the contractor of what he needed to do.
Did that answer your question, Mr. Smith?
Well, I mean, that was what the ultimate was, but I want to know why, I mean, if it's neatly organized on a shelf, and I mean, what constitute, why would you call it outdoor equipment or whatever if can't be outdoor? And I mean, does everybody have to store all their stuff?
I do have the pictures of the property if everyone would like to see them.
I would.
Okay. I'll get that now for you if you'd like.
Yeah, basically, did you just have like outdoor storage? Did you just put things behind your house? Is that what, I mean, you just store stuff behind your house, around your house, outside? All
All right. We can start here,
right. Go ahead and show it to the
and if you just want to swipe to the left.
I think he's going to pass it down for everybody. About how many pictures are there?
Maybe 10, until we showed abatement pictures. Maybe that.
Chief, what did you see after you got over there?
I got a call, probably 8:30, and I think Jeff Fry punched the call that Mr. Smith was there and he thought there might be a problem, so I go over there
So Mr. Fry, he was on site.
temporarily.
Mr. Fry was the contractor?
He was the one I understand that contract with, but he contracted another person to clean it up. I got there, wasn't really a problem, but Mr. Smith was having a misunderstanding evidently. I don't know who he talked to, but as to what was going to go. Through multiple calls to Mr. May, I managed to finally find out that they were cleaning all the way to the brick wall back there. Mr. Smith did show me the wall there on the end where it had broke loose. I don't know if that happened then or some other time. I didn't look at it that close. And I did advise him, because by law I have to, that the only legal recourse he had was civil, and that he would have to sue if he felt that he needed to. It seemed, Mr. Smith did report what he considered to be a larceny, and I do too, because nobody really asked to take it, larceny of wheelbarrow, by one of the people that worked for the contracting company. Well, I knew him, so I made contact, and he said, well, I still want to see it go to landfill. It had a dry rotted tire. I was going to replace it. I said, well, let's not do that. Let's bring it back and leave it and send me pictures. When you do, Mr. Smith did not charge if he brought it back. He brought it back, sent pictures of it behind his house. I closed the case. It seemed like the couple of calls that I had would be with Mr. Smith. They were trying to get stuff that obviously he wanted to keep, and he was sitting to the side. There was some talk of refrigerators, but I think there was, 2 refrigerators or a freezer refrigerator? And I don't have the authority on that to say, hey, you gotta leave that. So they were discussing, my understanding, he's gonna leave the running refrigerator. Did he not leave it?
That was the conversation.
Did he leave it?
The day before, yeah.
Okay.
It's still located there. It is still at your property? The refrigerator is still at your
No,
property?
they took it, they took everything to the wall. Like I said, all my yard tools that were in a, outdoor box, and my grill and my propane tanks. Like I say, the damage from a retaining wall, the lawnmower. I mean, everything that was on that shelf, like I say, that was
They did leave the welder, did not.
They did.
Okay.
Do you live there?
Elton,
Is that your address? Do you live there?
Yes, ma'am.
Has there been any water use there, Diane?
No.
Is this just your property, or do you live somewhere else? I mean, do you actually live somewhere else?
I do not live there full time. I do live there on my days off when I come from Greensboro. I do have a place I stay in Greensboro during the week because of my job.
Attorney Will Hoyt, do you have a next step for us?
Well, I dare say, Elton, you had over a year notice. You had over a year notice
That's
to
true.
clean it up. And that didn't mean move it somewhere else outside. That meant clean it up. I'm a little surprised you didn't secure some kind of outbuilding or something whereby you could put your valuable items in and not leave them exposed to the elements of the weather. And if there were, now I don't know why they don't like sofas on front porches, and I guess they don't like refrigerators behind the house. But I don't know. I'm a little surprised. You're a pretty smart guy. I've heard you talk at plant. So I'm a little surprised you didn't secure your items that you thought were the most valuable ones. If the guy talked to you about that, somehow, I don't know, there was some miscommunication. The right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. If they told you we would do this and that, I can't speak to that any more than these people here. I hate this happened to you, but it's kind of, you're not completely have clean hands walking in here making a claim. Because you had over 365 days to address the issue. And what happened is, by you not really addressing the issue, this is what happened. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me, yes. I mean,
And I hate that. I don't think
I'm not
anybody in
disputing the
town up
fact.
here, nobody in town up here wants you to take your property or have it disposed of. They didn't want to, But I guess it was an eyesore to some people who complained. Does that make sense? And I think part of the issue is if you're not there every day, sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. And I'd hate to happen because I think he's a pretty good old fellow. I don't think the board members, that they hate the situation rose to this point. I'm sure. So, I don't know what to tell you because I'm sure the stuff's already been disposed of. I think the chief act trying to help you, and I tell you what, I think he did the right thing there. You're getting that wheelbarrow back.
There was a discussion where a generator, I'm unsure of the wattage or anything else, he wanted to keep. I spoke to Mr. May about, he said, yeah, if it's there, it can be left. Now, it is separate from the house. It's cleaned up to and beyond it.
Right.
But they left it out of, I guess they could have took it because it was under a tarp, and I don't know about generators. Well, she welder, wasn't it, Mr. Smith? Welder, was it not? Welder. Okay, my fault.
Cause all this stuff wasn't working.
That was left. They did permit that.
And I also told the chief, I was like, if there's something that he really, really wants to keep, I said he can pull it to the side, but he needed to get it gone that day. And from my understanding.
He did move some stuff. He moved some stuff inside the house, and I, without approval from Mr. May, told him, I said, if you something you want to get that you cannot move away from here right now, if you can move it up into the wood line and come get it later, I would do it because they weren't concentrating on the wood line.
Elton, you should have gotten a little storage. They have storage facilities all over Randolph County. You should have put those items in there. And just bit the bullet and paid that monthly fee till you figured out what you were gonna do with it. Then they would still be with yours, but you'd have to take time to do it. So I understand you're not happy, but you kind of did it to yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, like I say, as they say, proverbial, water under the bridge, we can't change it. But I think what I was told and where I could put the stuff that I wanted to do and what actually happened was two different things. I'm not saying that they didn't have,
I understand
I
that.
give plenty of time for the
I understand that,
was
but you
not
could
stored
you
correctly.
could have prevented that to happen at all, if you just put it in storage. So. It would have happened. I'm sure the town's sorry that
No.
you feel like you've been done wrong, but there's a thing called coming to court and clean hands, and I don't believe your hands are entirely clean. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you're an innocent victim.
I appreciate the town listening to my concerns and taking interest in it, but I mean, like I say, I'm not disputing that it wasn't a problem that I should have addressed in a timely manner. But what my dispute was, and which I guess is now between the contractor, because when I talked to the contractor, they said it was the code enforcement, and then the code enforcement ultimately said it was the town. So I mean, so everybody's kind of passed it around.
But
I mean,
in the end, Elton could have.
what they told
could
me,
have resolved
what
this,
they told me what I could do, what they told me. I mean, this is the contractor, and then I was assuming, like I say, we got a lot of people involved here, and I don't know whether somewhere in the translation
Yeah.
that it, but initially I did not understand they were supposed to clean all the way up to the wall. They were just supposed to clean what was in sight from the road and what was from the neighbors adjacent property.
Well, I think you learned a hard lesson.
Yes, sir, I have.
Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith, do you have any other questions for our board?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa?
This question is directed at,
Mr. Hubbard, would you like to come back to the podium, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I've been here for a little bit. And Mr. Cranford has been out. I'm just trying to understand, your question or what you are, came to the public forum to talk about tonight as far as the opening.
Yeah.
Help me to understand what you mean by that.
Well, we have a vacant chair sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
The board accepted his leave of absence. There are some extremely important, expensive questions on the agenda tonight and in the future. Yourself and myself and Mr. Parrish are the only three candidates on the ballot this November for the 3 open seats on this board. You know, it just seems to me you would want to have as many voices represented as there should be. You know, it's, as I said, I've been here all along, ready and willing to go to work. And it comes to my attention that seat sits vacant, and it has since last December, I think. And the board is within its rights to fill that seat. You don't have to. No one, I don't think, can make it, but you are within your rights. You know, for the next 2 years, we're going to be sitting on that board, more than likely, 90+% odds. And we're going to have to work together, and I look forward to it. But between now and then, there's an empty seat. I'd like to have some input. You're gonna spend, what was it, $2.2 million on the water meters? It's a good idea, don't get me wrong. And nobody asked my opinion, but since I'm standing here, and that's the question before you tonight. It's a good idea. I'm not certain that it's what we need to do right this second. I'm not certain that there's not more than one way forward there. I'd like some time to think about it and talk, if it were up to me. Were it my decision.
Well,
That's
Mr.
all I'm
Cranford, he's on leave of absence. He's
Yes,
not,
he is.
yeah, but he hasn't resigned.
No,
And
ma'am.
I think,
The
don't
board,
we have to, he has to resign for us to fill his seat.
as you see there before you, the board, even during a leave of absence, is within its rights to appoint an interim.
But they're not required to by law.
No, they're
County
not, sir.
Commissioners are, but North
We
Carolina,
can split hairs
North
on that over
Carolina
what vacancy
North
means.
Carolina General Assembly, North Carolina General Assembly
That's
did
good.
not, they put it for commissioners, they did
I
not
do.
put it as law for cities.
I
There's a
understand
reason,
that,
the
sir.
reason they
Don't
did that, Jay.
lecture to me,
Well,
sir. I'm here to talk
I'm
to the
just
board.
saying, Jay, you're
I think-
chastising the board.
No, I'm not
saying
chastising
they
anybody. I was
violated the
asking
law.
up here and answer a question.
They haven't violated the law.
I think
I
what,
didn't say anybody had, sir.
Well,
I
you
think what
implied
he's saying is the board has the authority,
You implied
if it's in their
Not
choice.
according to
I
right
said
here.
they were within their rights
Free
to
to
fill
blue
the seat.
steam.
I didn't say
What
they
Can be
had
done
to.
if you want or can't. Probably not very much.
It's
don't
But
vacant.
appoint anybody that seat according to,
I think
That's right.
under
It's
general-
according to the
vacant.
Board of Elections.
You didn't
Melissa,
write a
I
word of
talked to
anything
her
I
about
handed
it
out,
already.
sir. I'm happy to continue our discussion with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you.
I think what Mr. Hubbard is saying is under the general statutes, if the board chooses to fill Commissioner Cranford's seat while he's under medical leave, the board has that option. It doesn't, he's not saying that you're required
No,
to, he's saying
no,
that
we
you
don't
have
say
the option.
pay. I never said
I'm
that.
fully aware of what he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not immediate. I mean,
No, we all
understand
see the writing on the wall here, don't we?
at this time, I don't feel comfortable appointing you to the board.
Well, that's fine.
To replace him out of respect.
That's fine. That is fine. I'm not,
And I,
all I was saying is if you're gonna get this town into a 15-year obligation to a $250,000 or more a year payment for water meters that you've talked about less than 2 hours altogether.
We've talked for over 2 months, for 2 months.
Okay.
We've had meetings.
The only public conversations I'm aware of are the last 2-3 months, or 2 or 3 hours in the last 2 meetings, the special meeting and this one.
And we've had several
Okay,
meetings
that's
with.
fine. I didn't get up here to do this.
Yeah.
I came here to offer you my assistance. I'm going to be a member of the board. You know it, and all of you know it. You're
I hope
gonna be a
that
fully
you're
elected member
working.
too.
Member of the board, not one that is going to cause
Who says I'm
division
gonna,
and
I'm not here to
attitude.
cause division, man.
attitude and how you present yourself says a lot. And you're lacking in that department big time.
Really?
I don't think
I
we
don't
need to
get
get
what this is
personal.
about.
I don't think we need to get personal
No.
today.
I came up here and just
I'm not even
offered my
speaking
comment. I'm
further.
All right,
pausing y'all's court.
that was the question that I had. It's been answered because I wanted to be sure we,
I
as a
don't
town
need, I
council's
am not here
going.
to cause any strife.
I understand.
I have a background in infrastructure and utilities. You got those sorts of questions in front of you. As I've said all along, since I helped you and you get elected, I'm here to help if you want my help. I'll sit down now, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard.
Thank you for your question.
Anything else? Anything else? Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Christmas lights.
As you know, our Christmas lights, we get complaints on them. Some of them don't work. We put them up, they don't work. They're probably 20 plus years old, the newest ones that we have. Ranneman has put on Gov Deals these 60 Christmas lights. They are, I think they used them in like 5 years. They are LED, more efficient. And if you ever looked up Christmas lights, I looked at them today, brand new ones. One Christmas light can be $550. We have a chance to get these to update our Christmas lights downtown for Christmas for pretty cheap. Now I know I can spend up to $1,000 per our rules, but if this goes over 1,000, what do y'all want? Do y'all want them? Do you want to look at getting them? As you know, our white snowflakes are brown snowflakes, and it's time to update if we can at a decent price. You're looking about $18,000 to buy all them brand new.
How many are we looking to replace?
Well, we could get the whole lot, 60 of them. That's 60 for one price.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And right now the bid's at 200. As each board member can spend 1,000 without board approval, but I'd rather have board approval to spend whatever.
Is this two separate lights?
Yeah, that's two. I think it's 30 of each.
So 30 of the trumpet and 30 of the
I
bell.
believe that's what they told me.
The bell just looks, it's upside down.
It's
I think.
upside down. Everything's upside down in the picture.
And we can use all 60 of those. We could expand. Jason's got brackets and stuff where we can Okay.
expand to the poles that have broken, and they just not replaced them. A lot of our current lights don't work.
I make a motion.
So I make a motion, we at least get them, but I don't know what price to set at the max.
So your motion is to purchase, is there a second? And then we can have more discussion. So you got it, Teresa. Okay, go ahead and open the floor for discussion.
What do y'all think we should do max on them?
How much do you have in the budget at this discretion?
I think we found up to 2,000 probably.
Yeah, I mean, it could be separated between, admin and water and sewer because it benefits everybody.
Yeah.
Or the 10 fund and the 30 fund.
How much you say, 2,000?
I mean, I don't think they'll go over that, but they might. I don't know.
If they don't go over that amount, I'll agree with that amount. But,
That's not 33 apiece.
Hmm.
That's not 33 apiece.
Mhm.
Do we need 60?
Well, you have to buy the whole lot.
I know, but what I'm thinking is turn around and
Sell them. Well, yeah, the ones, we'll probably surplus the ones we got, and if we don't need the extras, we can surplus them too.
I don't care, it's not too great.
So is that
2,000.
2,000?
2,000.
So, all in favor? At 2,000?
Up to 2,000?
Jackson Mills?
The last minute, we got some invoices from Jackson Lewis, and Carol's asked me to amend the agenda for this since I was amending the agenda already.
Yeah, I saw it.
If you saw them, I need one more. I don't think they can take. And Carol can explain what these are for.
Mayor, Jay, I do want to apologize to you. I did misinterpret that I thought you were saying you did something wrong. The board did
No.
something wrong. When you said that you were offering services, I misinterpreted. I apologize for that.
I'm just saying,
I apologize. I misinterpreted what you were saying.
thank you.
You're welcome. That's on me. They had a meeting last night, went to midnight, 6 hours in Trinity, and I'm still kind of in a fog. Yeah, that was a long deal there.
These invoices are in addition to the 18,000 that was spent at the back of the stack. You'll see that, the 18,000 that we paid last year about this time, August the 2nd of 22. And we had no idea that there was other outstanding invoices out there, until we received an email wanting to know why we had not paid these. And we had not received the invoices, so there was no way that we could pay them. I believe I put just on the front page of each one of them, just a little bit of what it was that each invoice was for. It's a total of $2,333.45 more that we owe Jackson and Lewis. And that would make the total paid to them $20,419.93.
Do you think, since we didn't receive the invoices initially, that maybe you could talk them out of that service fee for unpaid invoice?
I think they,
I don't think we owe the $255 for Commissioner Joy calling, because that was something they promised to provide and they didn't provide.
what we might want to do is make some notations on that.
They didn't fulfill their contract and what they were supposed to provide, and that's why she called. And I don't think we should have to pay for that phone call. For a 5-minute phone call costs $255.
And I had called myself whenever I first got the email. I never received a return phone call from the lady
Tell
at
you what,
Jackson Lewis.
mark
So
that up.
we won't get charged
I'll
for
call. Carol, I'll call. I need to do this. I'll call.
that. That is-
I'll do that.
Thank you.
JC,
Are they gonna
Mark.
charge us more money if you call them?
Probably.
no. Just gonna tell me they need to clean that up a little.
A little.
Oh, yeah, they expensive down there in Raleigh, Charlotte, and places like that.
So you just give us an update on this?
Yeah. If they come off of that, you want, then we can reach out and tell everybody they agree to come off X amount.
I marked on the two.
Can we get approval to go ahead and pay?
Yeah,
it
that
once
way,
we
if
settle
they
up
come
everything?
off that.
I make a motion, we pay it after Bob negotiates with them.
Tell you what, JC.
Any further
I'll put it
discussion?
on the word.
Diane said,
You take a minus right there and give me a bottom line. You can do that. Let the meeting keep you finished.
Yeah, we can keep on going.
Yeah, keep
I'll
going.
We
give
just
you.
need to vote.
Are we ready to vote?
All in favor? Mr. Maybe next up.
Before I get started, I'd like to introduce Nicole. She actually works with us as well. She helps me out here sometimes when I'm drug away somewhere else or things like that. So I just wanted everybody to see her face and know that she's,
Well, the thing is that behind every man, there's a woman. Somebody runs the show.
I'm sorry.
I'll go with my report real quick. So we had 25 open cases for, the month of July, 18 cases, I'm sorry, 25 open total, 18 new cases for the month. We abated 21 cases. A lot of grass. A lot of those things are being cut. A lot of people are actually complying, a lot more than had been in the previous month. This report this month looked pretty good as far as code enforcement goes. We do have some properties that will be receiving notice of hearings and things like that. Overgrown lots is one of our biggest issues this past couple of months, and as you can see, it's being hammered. We do still have some junk vehicles, things like that we're working on, some notice of hearings going out for those. Any questions on any of the report or anything that we've had going on, or anything that you'd like to bring to my attention that needs work, or?
Does the board have any questions?
All right.
Appreciate what you're doing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Planning and zoning member term expiration.
We had a planning and zoning member to expire in June. Mr. Smith's term is up and we either need to reappoint or not appoint.
How many people do we have on the planning and zoning board?
Five or six. There's Mr. Thomas, Sandra, Cheryl, Ben Ware, and Elton at this time. So there's five.
And Elton's been on the board consecutively for how long?
No idea.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Does he live in Ramseur? He just down here on the weekends. So he's in Greensboro, what? 5 out of 7 days.
I think if you need to fill a seat, maybe what you want to do is put it out there for anybody to apply, and then you can readdress this. So how's that sound to the board?
That'll be fine.
Planning request for public hearing, Green Hill Road.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is new. The planning board did, request that, a public hearing be held at our next meeting in September. And we just want to, they just want to see if they can hold that public hearing for Green Hill Road property in September.
Is this a new property?
Uh,
Why do they need a request for public hearing?
because they're, combining some parcels together.
Does the county allow that?
It's in the city.
Bob?
Say what?
We've
Sorry.
got a request to combine parcels within the city, 2 lots. Is it 2 lots? Do we need to do a public hearing on that?
Well, there are 1 and 2. How large are the lots?
I mean, it's already been to the planning board. They've already, they have a recommendation. It just needs to come before the public to see if, for a public hearing, and then y'all make a decision as to whether or not you want to do it. I mean, all the procedures have been followed.
Joint landowners,
Yeah,
and,
because it'll affect
we
the
just
land.
need to make sure it's okay under the ordinance.
Is everybody good with the public hearing at, do you want to do it at 6:30 at our next meeting?
That's fine.
I'll make a motion. We'll go ahead and,
Unless it's a walk.
You want-
Public hearing?
It's only gonna take 5 minutes.
The next board, meeting.
The next board meeting.
then we'll have to recess till
you got
6:30.
to advertise not less than 10 or more than 25 days prior to board.
Make a motion. We go ahead and set the public hearing for the September meeting at 6:30.
Any further discussion?
Code enforcement need to advertise that.
All in favor? Anything else?
Did they leave?
Yeah, they get with her.
Okay.
They have another meeting to get to.
Water and sewer, public works.
All right, so we need to revote to get a backup ORC at the wastewater treatment plant. Bill Villanueva, who was previously doing it, does not want to do it anymore. I have spoken with Chris McCorkindale, he's the utilities director in Solid City. He's willing to help us out. He don't have any time limit, he'll do it just as long as we need it to get somebody certified to do it. I do have somebody testing next month, hopefully it passes. So hopefully this is a 1 month need. But Chris is wanting, he's requesting $500 a month for the services of backup ORC at the wastewater plant.
That's the same that we paid Mr. Villanueva.
No, we pay Bill $100 a month, but this is on par. $500 a month is what every other proposal that came in the last time we done it was. Chris seems to be the best one. Everybody else wanted a 6 month minimum, considering we have somebody testing next month. Chris said that he would do it for a month or a year, however long we need him to do it.
Can I have a motion on that?
I make a motion, we'll go ahead and approve Chris for 1 month.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Look, 2 seconds.
Either one of us.
Fine.
JC, did you say for just 1 month? Or?
No, it's just on a month basis.
Yeah, month,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure I had it right. Thank you.
You've got some invoices?
The first invoice is from American, so this order of Eric for the water plant, for the water treatment. It's a cost we can't avoid, it's every couple month cost, so it's $10,710.
So you've got 3 different invoices. Do you need 3 different motions, Carol, or can you lump sum?
Bob usually has us do 3 different motions.
Okay.
Make a motion, we'll go ahead and approve American Corporation invoice.
I second it.
All in favor?
Second invoice is from Harcross Chemical, it's $8,228.40. It's for caustic soda.
Is that gonna be a normal?
Yep, it's gonna be a monthly thing. I think previously y'all had voted.
For
$8,000.
8,000.
8,000. Well, chemical costs going up.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might need to update that to about 11 to avoid having to present these every month.
I make a motion to approve the Harper's California.
Second.
All in favor? Do you want to go ahead and give, maybe by the next meeting, an average of what your chemical invoices are gonna be so the board can look at it to see if we
I
need
can
to?
tell you now, they've been about the same past couple months, but I think if we raise that 8,000 for chemical costs up to about 11, it should knock out some of these coming until they. From what they're saying right now, the price increase is kind of leveled out a little bit, so hopefully we won't have any more jumps.
When we switch over to the chlorine tea, is that gonna change?
It probably won't, it should be about the same. I mean, chlorine's one of our cheaper costs. Ferric and caustic's the 2 big ones. We get those by the truckload.
Does anybody wanna, give a motion on increasing that amount?
I make a motion that we increase it to $11,000, the,
Chemical?
chemical, what is it? Harcross Chemical,
Yeah, Harcross and American.
Harcross and American Chemical,
Well, I mean,
or
you may need to get from a different, so just say chemical.
Yeah,
chemicals,
it's a little
okay.
expensive.
Just- I make a motion that we, up the allowance of $11,000 so that he doesn't have to bring it before the board every time.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right, and the last one is for a repair that we did on a pump station that was down, $10,645.35. This was the pump station that was having all the overflow issues. This was the last pump that had to be fixed, and now we have all 3 pumps up and running. So hopefully that will eliminate any overflow issues for the foreseeable future at least.
Is there a motion on that?
I motion to approve the
Underwood?
Charles Underwood invoice.
Second.
Jason, JC second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
All right, so past couple of weeks have been long for pump stations. So started out a couple weeks ago, we had the tube station, the one over near the wastewater plant, had a seal bust loose on the pump, and it pretty much fried both pumps, the electrical part of both pumps, because they're non-submersible pumps. Water got on and fried both of them. Currently, we had to run about 1,000 foot of PVC pipe to bypass it to the wastewater plant. Got a temporary pump set up. Both pumps, hopefully, if parts came in on time, they will be reinstalled this week. Had an electrical issue at the big pump station. We took care of that in one day. Had a check valve issue at the Fushi Road pump station. I was out on that one until 3 in the morning. Worked an 18-hour day on that one, trying to get it fixed. Just having some pump stations. Luckily, this week we haven't had any issues, but these are different pump stations than what we've had repaired. So hopefully we'll get these fixed and won't have any more issues for a little while. I just want to give y'all a heads up that there's going to be some invoices coming for those pump stations because it was an emergency need to prevent overflows. With that being said, a lot of the issues at these pump stations is grease, which we send out grease reminders. And I got a hand up here. So we don't have a grease ordinance or fats, oil, and grease ordinance in place for restaurants right now. This is kind of a summary of what Ashbro uses. I would like to get this ordinance in place so we can start enforcing that the restaurants clean their grease traps regularly. Right now, I can't go out there and make sure they get them clean. I can't enforce any fines. We don't have an ordinance in place saying that they have to have it done.
Can you give us just a moment to read this?
Jason, did you come back into work that next day after that 18-hour day?
Yeah, I was back at 7:30.
Thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
But when you work a day like that,
Yeah, I think
go home and sleep
I
and
think
come
those
in
2
at
weeks
12.
I had 100 hours in those 2 weeks.
You need to go home, sleep a half a day, and then come back in.
Yeah.
If you choose to.
We don't expect you to be at work at 7 o'clock the next day.
Not after 18-hour day.
Well, I had both of my operators at the water plant work. They had doctor appointments that day, so I had to operate on that day.
Okay. That's good advice.
This ordinance here is typical of other cities.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I changed some things on it, but this is very similar to what Asheville currently has in place.
North Carolina DEQ has guidelines on that. And you may not be aware, there's a company in Asheboro that makes Thermocoat Big Dipper, and they make those grease traps. They have them, actually, a lot of restaurants have them right. If you walk on the sidewalk, in major cities, you see something flush with the concrete.
Yeah, so
that's the grease trap. So for
The Chick-fil-A.
stormwater.
Speaking of DEQ, this is one of the things that Ron Boone pegged us on was not having a grease or a fat oil and grease in place.
How much does it cost to install one of those?
Every restaurant should already have them.
They're required by state.
When they build the restaurants, they should have them. The issue is they're not getting them clean because it's not being enforced because we can't enforce it.
I see.
And so it's clogging up the pumps with all this grease, and that's what's
And
causing
see,
a lot of the
when I
issues.
worked at Chick-fil-A, we cleaned them weekly.
These are
We did ours
commercial.
weekly.
This is requiring daily, if I think I read it.
That's
right.
under the sink. The ones out in the parking lot,
Yeah, it would
if
be-
it's big, it's every 90 days, once every 90 days.
We had ours under the sink.
Does anybody have any questions on this? What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we adopt a sewer use ordinance, oil and grease from the restaurants.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
And the last thing is the campsite update, which you know we spoke about a little bit. Last week, the mayor and myself had a meeting with John Ogden, and Mike Rooney and Ashboro about the campsite. As I said, we're gonna sell the campsite 1 million gallons from our plant every day, and then we'll purchase 1 million from Asheboro and resell it to them. Sewer, I think sewer looks like it's one of the Siler City, but this is still kind of, a lot of stuff's up in the air on this right now still.
The one thing that they still don't have information. They were still kind of just giving us what their ideas are, but they did talk about maybe running the water not down 64th through the town, but instead coming up, was it?
Coming up West Jones,
Jones.
or coming up Jones Street, going down Brooklyn Avenue, back across to West Ridge, and all the way down to Elam, back to 64. I think the issue is that they're concerned that 64 don't have enough right-of-way space. I think what'll end up happening is they'll probably just cut a lane up and run it down the middle of the lane. But it's the shortest, quickest route, so we'll see how it plays out.
And they're gonna send out their request for proposals. They told us it was gonna be that week, but according to the email, it looks like it's gonna be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, they're gonna,
There'll be a design build, so it moves along quicker.
and then I think what they're gonna do is start bringing the lawyers in for the interlocal agreement.
And I am working on trying to get a emergency interconnect hooked up in case we go through a drought and we can't pull water from our reservoir. We can open a valve and buy water from Asheville to supply the town if we need to. Because currently we don't have any type of emergency interconnect.
They seemed positive on that when you mentioned it.
Yeah. So which that interconnect part probably have to come out of our funding because it's not going to be part of that $55 million grant.
Well, can we use it out of the grant that we already have in place, or we're gonna have to
Probably have to
budget that?
Probably something else or apply for a grant to help with that, which I'm sure there's opportunities.
Okay, anything else on that?
That it?
All right, thank you. Crime line striping estimate?
As you know, we had Liberty Street, the parking spaces restriped so people can tell where the parking space is. Well, Main Street's in bad shape also. I had him give us a quote, and he will do the whole entire Main Street from 22 down to the bottom for $3,200. We do have this in the POW bill, and that's that is acceptable, allowed a current expense. So I'd like to make a motion. We go ahead and have him to redo Main Street also.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Who was the second?
Please.
We previously asked for 40,000 out of the 69,000 that we budgeted for the police vehicle. As you know, it's hard to find vehicles. This is replacing the one that was in an accident. 19,000 of that's coming from the insurance. We did find a Dodge Durango at the place we bought the last three. As you can see, it went just a little over 40,000. So I'm asking permission to go ahead and to get this vehicle purchased for $42,602.98. That
Making that motion.
I'll make that a motion. That won't include taxes, title, tags, and all that, but that's usually under 1,000, right, Carol?
What about the striping and equipment?
Striking equipment, we hadn't got quotes on yet, so they'll be working on getting that. Some of the equipment we might use from another vehicle to save money, but they'll be working to getting those quotes. But vehicles are very hard to come by right now.
So we have a first on that. Do we get a second on that? Any further discussion?
Yes, what about, things he needs, or the vehicle needs, like?
Lights and stuff.
Like you just talking, I mean.
Well, we got 69 that we budgeted for. We won't have those prices till he gets quotes from the people that make this stuff. He ain't got the quotes for lights and stuff.
Okay.
So we'll have almost 25,000 left in the capital outlay for that.
That we can use.
Yeah. We budgeted 69 for the vehicle.
And we okayed you for,
We did it at 40,000 for the
Okay.
vehicle. I just need to,
All right.
I needed approval for the extra 2,600.
Okay.
All in favor? Museum, library, cemetery, anything?
No.
Parks and recreation?
Yes, I wanted to have a couple of gentlemen to be here with us tonight. Ramseur Athletic Association, I wanted them to talk to you a little bit about what's going on. I've been meeting with RAA for some time to get sports back up and running here, and it has been a positive. It has been positive meetings, and they are getting to a point where they are ready to talk about their portion of what they're going to do as a community to help with the sports. And also, I wanted Jeffrey Davis, which is the vice president of RAA, and Chris Ulrich, which is the president of RAA, to show face tonight and talk a little bit about what RAA is planning to do. So, Phyllis.
So I'm Jeff Davis, Madam
Vicky.
Mayor Vicky, okay. I apologize, I haven't been in this setting before, so please be nice. But basically, we just want to get sports back in Ramseur. Kids are having to go to Franklinville, to Chatham County, get in Randleman's leagues. If they go to Liberty, they got to go to Randleman. It's just nothing right here at home. There's facilities that are not being used, to my knowledge, and they can be used. What we did was we got a group of parents that have kids that are in the community that could play these sports. My kids are in middle school and going to high school soon, but I coach at East Randolph High School. I coach the girls varsity basketball team. So we just kind of want to start with basketball, if that's possible. And what we're looking at doing is, myself and the boys basketball coach from the high school, we're going to come down and be very selective on who the coaches are. We're going to have a coaching clinic, teach these coaches what they need to teach these kids in the proper manner. But before that, we have to have some sort of funds, of course, to do certain things like get jerseys and equipment, because I'm not sure what Ramseur has left over from the previous Parks and Rec. So there's a lot of big money questions there, but we're willing to do fundraisers. We've got one scheduled for Saturday, just to get some funds in the mix to help get some kids in the gym if we have that permission. Basketball is coming up, I think, October 31st for us in high school, but I believe you can start sign-ups for Rec League as early as September 20th, just to get a pre-registration. So we would like to do that just to see what the numbers look like. And also note that Siler City, their whole Rec League just shut down. The guy that was over Parks and Rec is now at Randleman Parks and Rec, and Siler City has nobody. So we may see an influx of participants from that area to our area, which isn't bad. That's good. That's bringing revenue in from somewhere else to help our needs and our kids, as well as their kids too. So I guess our next questions are, do we have the okay to do that? Do we get voted in as the association to take over, or do we move within realms of what you guys tell us to do? How
Can you explain to the board how you became legal?
How we became legal? Well, we went and, Chris, you want to speak on that?
Madam Mayor. So we did go through the process of filing for our EIN. We are actually in negotiations with retaining an accountant currently. We are in the process of trying to file everything for our 501c3 to officially become a nonprofit organization. So that's a process to become legal. We do have our EIN number, from the IRS. We have received that.
Do you have a time frame on how long that 501c3 is going to take?
We are setting up the meeting with the accountant. We've already, started giving some things over as far as the EIN. And she's gonna go ahead and start working on getting everything filed. She does want to go over everything with our board so that we are crossing our T's, dotting our I's as well to make sure, that we understand the bylaws and everything to that degree. Make sure that, she's doing everything with our treasurer so that our treasurer is filing everything as clean as possible. The ultimate goal is, to make sure, that we file everything and organize everything so that whenever it comes time to look into programs or grants, that we've got everything covered to that. This is something that she's very familiar with. She's launched the Rise Approach Training nonprofit. She's working with Jordan Matthews. She's working with another school out of Sally right now, getting their nonprofit started as well. So,
And I've spoken to certain lawyers, trying to get some help on that, but it's a slow process.
It is. Your liability insurance?
we have been discussing insurance and stuff as far as with Teresa and just trying to see the guidance on how we need to go about getting that, who would cover that, and just getting the details. You know, from my understanding, there's been multiple people that have tried to attempt to launch recreational services in Ramseur. It's kind of just gone silent. I think with myself and Jeff, you know, we're going to put, you know, every foot forward to make sure that it succeeds this time. We both grew up in the recreational area. I was at Coleridge, you know, here at Ramseur. You know, and we're involved with all townships. Just so you're aware, you know, prior to this season, you had Liberty, who was they were that mothership for all the townships. Everything was done through Liberty. Liberty is backed out of the townships. So the townships are now looking at Ramseur as, you know, that front line of handling everything, taking care of everything, seeking the guidance. You'll see later on your list down here, August 30th, you know, you have scheduled a township meeting here to discuss what basketball season is going to look like, you know, what all we need to get aligned and stuff. So everything, this is a big opportunity for Ramseur, you know, to put us back to where we were. I know coming from Coleridge, hated competing against Ramseur. They had really good athletes. And, you know, like Jeff said, you know, a lot of our athletes are going elsewhere. And, you know, we need to bring that back home. I think with the run that Eastern's had this year, this is the year to do it.
Have you guys engaged an attorney yet?
No, I spoke with the referred attorneys and I haven't received anything back yet.
Bob, can you refer anybody on that?
Yeah, they can help them do the corporate work, nonprofit stuff. They can talk to you. I know his mom.
Y'all do have bylaws and everything in
I
place?
think they're working on it.
Okay. They're working on
bylaws and stuff.
My concern is that you're not going to have it in place. As you can see, sometimes there's a hurry up and wait. My concern is that you're not going to have it in place by October.
Right.
And you're going to
What exactly do you need to see?
You can file with the Secretary of State of North Carolina and become a nonprofit before you get your federal nonprofit. You just have to file through the Secretary of State your paperwork and bylaws, and then you're nonprofit for North Carolina. So that would be that's a quicker process than the federal. The federal can take 6 to 8 months.
You have to make an application.
Go to the website,
Form.
and it'll tell you step by step what you need to do for Secretary of State, and then you become a legal nonprofit in North Carolina.
Okay, and then let's say that happens, and we show that we've done the correct measures to get it started by October. And then what do you need from us then? Or does the town help us with funding or anything? Is there money set aside for
The
that?
town has a specific budget, and I don't think anything was put in the budget for this. So if you guys came up with a request, Commissioner Hatchett would approach the board and request an amendment to that budget for that. But I would really encourage you, once you get this up and running, to approach some of the businesses in this area, because I believe all those businesses will be very willing to sponsor you.
I'm glad you brought that up. I just wanted real quick to realize what's going on. So when you do approach these businesses, which I have, just kind of get a feel for who would donate, who can donate, and all this good stuff. They've been hit by UCA. They've been hit by PG. They've been hit by Eastern. They've been hit by all the surrounding schools around here. And they don't have all that everywhere I go, well, UCA and FA just left, or Randleman just left. So the fundraising is gonna be tough. It can be done, but it's a lot tougher than just saying, ask the businesses.
Yeah, the businesses are drying up right now.
Right, so that,
I don't think anybody's come to Blue Horseshoe and asked them.
well, I'm on the way. I'll write that down.
You're actually on our list.
I'm on the list, y'all, I'm on the list.
And, you know, in defense, my mother-in-law actually referred you. So, you know, she said, you know, to make sure that we'd spoke to Blue Horse, so.
I think we got a little bit money in
We
park
do.
and
We
rec
have
stuff.
money in there.
I want to see ball back,
Yeah.
and the town's gonna.
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
got
speak
money.
on my half. We're
You
gonna
got
do
money?
what we can to get it back.
She said she's got money.
So she's got money. The state, it's an easy process. If you have any questions, I did several nonprofits through it. It's easy. You don't have to have an accountant to do it, or you can do it yourself.
And there's several companies that will give you grants. When I was a commissioner, I got a grant from, was it DART? I think I got a grant from.
once that's complete, right?
Yeah, you need to file the state before you can, once you get the state. But like I said, if you'll go to their website, and if you need to call me, Teresa's got my number, and I can show you, you know, on the phone where to go. Because it was a simple process of getting your
So I
nonprofits.
think we'll try to act on that.
Yeah, comments. Yeah, the accounting, it's fair. We don't mind using the accounting,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's.
But that's something you could do for free and not have to cost that expense of an accountant doing it. You just have to have your bylaws in place, and you have to file articles of incorporation, and then your bylaws. But it's very,
You come to LLC, it'd be Oracle's organization.
Yeah,
Depending
yeah.
on what entity form.
if you go incorporated or
Talk to CPA about what
LLC.
it's like, whether you should be an LLC or Inc. or just talk to the county
Because
first on
That's a $1,200 fee to use the accountant and get their professional opinion and stuff. So that's why we're kind of asking if there's any, we can raise that money to pay for the CPA. We can raise the money to, get everything lined properly to present to you again and say, hey, we got it. Can we get started?
I really though want to, I mean, I do want to encourage you and I do want you to do that, but I want you to understand the time frame that you're up against for October.
I understand.
That's going to be
As long as we get started though with the state.
The state
the federal
is just
can come
a
in
week or
later.
two. It don't take long with the state. Yeah.
But don't be discouraged.
No.
Ramseur,
Ramseur
the
will
town of
support you.
Ramseur is going to support you. We have you.
Mhm.
This is something we need. So we'll do whatever we can to help you get there.
Very good.
And you
job.
might could check with Secretary of State, the old Ramseur Athletic Association, all their bylaws and stuff might be already there. Don't reinvent the wheel if you can copy and make it work for you.
Okay.
That's what a lot of organizations do.
And one more thing, if we were able to get soccer in on the rec part, involved, where would that be? Is there a part of the town that has a field, or do we use Eastern?
Jason, how much you got over there behind the dam?
That's what I was thinking.
There's plenty of room.
Could make
That would
could
be
make one
ideal.
over there by the
On the
lake,
west side,
clean room for soccer, getting it
that
ready.
big area. Where the parking lot is.
Have you been to the Frankville side of the water plant, where the park is? If you go to in there, the first to your right is a big parking lot. There's a big field right there that would be perfect for soccer.
Okay, because, all I have now is the YMCA and the Zoo Park away all the way in Asheboro. So if we could at least have some teams in that and have a place to practice.
It wouldn't take a lot to get that field ready.
Very good, Teresa, very good.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Joy?
At this time, I'm going to table the lake roof repairs. I need some more information before I want to present that to the board. And the youth fishing tournament is not this Saturday, but next, the 26th, from 8 to 12. So I encourage you to share it with people, share it on Facebook. We've had really good turnout with donations thus far, and I'm hoping it's going to be a greater turnout than last year.
Very good. I talked with Christine Pickens today, and we're gonna have a Unique Places to Save is gonna come and meet with the board next meeting. Carol, will you please put that on the agenda? I'm not sure exactly who it is that's gonna come meet with us, but they're gonna give us an update on the grant at our next meeting. Administration?
I did get some quotes, from Safety Works for, pre-employment, drug screening and background checks. We had some issues and some in the past where we probably should have done some, random drug and alcohol testing. And so this is something that is, in today's world, it's needed whenever we're hiring. Now, if we go through Express, all of this is taken care of by them, but we don't always go through Express to hire. And so if we don't, you can see from what I sent to you, the process for that. I did speak with the police chief, and the police department is not allowed per regulations that they have to do anything beyond verifying somebody's driver's license is valid or is not valid. So that's about all that they can do. In our conversation, a potential employee can go to the clerk of court and get their own criminal record for Randolph County for a nominal fee. A potential employee can go to NCDMV, and I did look that up, I'd hate to have to do it myself, and obtain a copy of their driving record, which would include if the license has ever been suspended. But just saying on that, it's hard enough to find potential employees, period. And if you're asking them to jump through all of these hoops before we'll even consider them, then I think that's pushing the envelope. So I think it would be, I personally feel like it would be good to have this in place, so that we can use them for background checks and for drug testing. But I would just like to throw in there that you can't discriminate. So any employees that's being hired, if you say that you're going to do this, if we're not going through Express, now this is if town of Ramseur is hired. If you're gonna say that we're going to do this and we're going to put this in place, then everybody would have to be treated equally, and everybody would have to get the drug testing, and everybody would have to get the background check. You can't say, oh, I'm a little leery about you, so I'm gonna send you, but I feel good about you and I'm not gonna send you. You can't do that kind of thing.
So do you need the board to vote on which drug test and which background check?
Yes, that's the prices on those. Probably you want, in today's world, you probably want that 9-panel drug test that includes,
The opiates.
opiates, thank you, I can't even say it. And I don't know, JC, you have more experience with this than me. If they've just done a national search on the background check, is that gonna cover it?
That'll cover everything nationally. But if you require them just go to get their own, you don't know if they'll get you the full report or not. So
Yeah.
with this,
Or how many different counties they live in?
yep. So because you go to Randolph, you're only gonna get Randolph. Yeah, they'll have to go to each county they lived in to get that record. And most towns use Safety Works in Asheboro.
It's entirely up to y'all. I just got the figures, because like I say, we could have used it in the past, and
What's the figures? I didn't put mine out. What's the figure?
I think it's $59 for the 9-panel with opiates.
yes, it was $59 for the 9-panel drug test, $27 for a national search background check.
You gonna do a motion?
So
I make 'em-
86 all.
I make a motion, we do the 9-panel with the opiates and the national background check
For each employee.
for
that
each
the town
employee
of Ramseur.
that we hire personally through the town.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Who was second on this? Thank you, Teresa.
Anything else?
I do have an announcement to add, but we can add that at the end.
Well, we're at the end.
Want to add to the announcements on 9/6/23 from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Burger King is hosting Coffee with a Cop, and our cops, will police officers will be up there
From when?
on September the 6th from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. at Burger King.
If there's not anything else, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session
Make a motion to go into closed session
Can
for
we have
personnel and legal.
for personnel and legal.
Is there a second?
second?
All in favor? Need a break?
Yes.
Take a short break.
Yeah.
5-minute break, y'all.
Jason, you do it like that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. That takes off those
That's
two.
off George's car.
Yeah.
Jay.